Oh my god, the game we've been waiting for is finally here. Or is it? Avowed? Wait, this guy looks familiar. Wait, no way, John Avatar is in this game? Or is that actually that one shark guy?
What the hell?
Let's talk about it while shaders load. Avowed is a game published by Xbox Game Studios, known pretty much for having Game Pass, but it was developed by Obsidian Entertainment, someone you already may be familiar with. This is a smaller company of less than 500 employees based in Irvine, California, who are mostly known for their RPGs like Tyranny and Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2. They've also worked on a few other projects like Grounded, the South Park RPGs, and are most known for Fallout New Vegas way back in the day. Their most recent project similar to Avowed was The Outer Worlds, an action RPG set in space. So with their most recent game Avowed, their goal was to make another RPG, this time set in
Eora, a world where mortals live, die, and are reborn through the turning of the wheel.
Eora is the fantasy setting from the Pillars of Eternity franchise, and in this game you're a godlike, or a person blessed by the gods before birth. You're an envoy of an emperor, and your main goal is to figure out what's plaguing the living lands, a large island to the north of the empire, and causing things like this to happen.
Oh my god!
Like a lot of RPGs, there's a big shipwreck and you wake up on an island with nothing on you. Avowed is a first-person RPG with the option of going third-person, and was led by Carrie Patel, a first-time game director, who was also a narrative lead on the Pillars of Eternity franchise and The Outer Worlds. So the question is, can you take a detailed narrative from a CRPG and translate that into an action RPG and a good game? But before we get to that, if you're enjoying the video so far, please like, comment, and subscribe. That way I know to keep creating content like this. Long story short, Avowed is surprisingly fun, and is a decent first attempt at the fantasy action RPG genre. Obsidian Entertainment is very close to making a really good game with this one, but in my opinion it falls short in a few areas that I'll get into. With the switch to first person, the detail in the narrative and dialogue from past games in Eora is a little lost, but what we gain is some fun combat, with a lot of freedom to fight and dual wield however you want to.
You're a wizard, Harry. You're a wizard, Harry.
You can gather companions in the game that each have unique abilities and can fight with you, if it works. There's an ability tree for your character that thankfully isn't too complicated, and you can choose abilities in the Fighter, Ranger, and Wizard tabs. There's a Godlike tab as well that has certain abilities that you'll pick up as you progress. Although it's not as expansive and detailed as the Pillars of Eternity franchise, there still are some cool abilities and upgrades you can choose from. You can customize the skills of your companions and use these abilities in combat. Unfortunately, that's pretty much where companion customization ends, aside from a few different camp outfit changes, so that means no changes to weapons or armor. So really the only thing the companions are good for are an extra set of abilities in combat. You can camp outside of cities to restore health and remove debuffs, but for some odd reason you can't stay overnight in inns, like you could in other games in Eora. At camp you can upgrade your armor and weapons, which is important as the game progresses and enemies get a little bit more difficult, but gaining the material is a little grindy. If you do get bored of your build, you can reset your abilities for a decent price and go for another playstyle. So after the Warhammer gameplay got a little stale, I switched to a gunner type build and thought this was pretty cool.
Headshot.
The world itself is beautiful and there are plenty of places to explore, but When you walk around town, you start to notice that NPCs are kind of static and don't really do much. So it essentially feels like they're there just to give out quests with an occasional set piece here and there. What I thought was cool is that there is some verticality to the game, meaning there are some locations and quests where you need to swim up and down through portions of a cave, or jump across ledges and climb things to get to where you need to go, or to grab certain items. For the most part, the living lands are divided into different zones that aren't too big, so you can usually fast travel to known locations, or you can just run to where you need to go and admire the views. In terms of exploration, there are traps you can disarm, loot chests, breakable walls, and puzzles, etc. Enemies don't respawn, which is a little weird in my opinion, so after you clear out an area, you can try and see if you missed anything. One thing I didn't like is that unless you have extra elemental grenades, you're kind of forced to equip magic items for electricity. This was a little immersion breaking, and you have to do the same thing if you need to turn water into ice to get to certain areas. Aside from the main story, side quests are actually pretty interesting.
Thank you so much. Best of friend.
And refugees are waiting for. Take a look around.
Thank you so much. Best of friend.
Any moment. Oh. My God, Aethys. Are you there? No.
And there are a few dialogue choices that are based on your character's origins and stats. If you rush through the main story and go from point A to point B, aka following the quest marker, you'll probably miss out on some interesting scenes.
Spare him, he'll just kill you again.
But like I said earlier in the video, what's missing is the narrative detail that you would get in Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2 and Tyranny. Avowed tries to do this with character animations, but the dialogue animations and character detail are another weak point of this game and look a little awkward. If you can get past some of the shortcomings I've talked about, there is some fun to be had here, but there are a few glitches here and there.
I said the same thing.
Oh my god, he on X Games mode.
I see dead people.
Avowed is a decent start to the fantasy action RPG genre for Obsidian Entertainment, and I'm excited to see what they learn from this game. I personally think this game could have used a little bit more time in the oven, especially at its $70 price tag. For now, I'd say play it on Game Pass, unless you're a hardcore fan of other games set in this world. So what's great about the game is that the combat is pretty fun and allows for multiple playstyles, the verticality is a cool addition, side quests are pretty interesting, and the game builds on lore from the Pillars of Eternity franchise. It's also fairly straightforward, very beginner friendly. What's not great is that there is janky dialogue animations and AI, there is minimal companion customization, facial animations and the UI feel a little incomplete, and moving from the CRPG to ARPG format, you lose that narrative detail that you'd see in the other games. It largely feels unfinished, and at this price point, a lot of people might not like that. With 3 stars being a near perfect game and 1 star being a really bad game, I'm going to give it 2 out of 3 stars. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video and want to see other reviews, you know what to do.